Imagine you woke up one morning with the power to instantly learn anything, to instantly master any skill, to instantly predict the future, and to instantly outsmart everyone you meet. Sounds like a dream, right? But what if this same power began to consume your mind, your memory, and your life by placing a target on your back? This is the story of a man who went from being a total failure, broke, lost, and invisible, to becoming one of the most powerful minds on the planet, all because of one little pill. But the real question is, was it all worth it? Because when you are limitless, there is a cost to pay, and it's the ultimate cost. So, stay tuned and go deep through the whole story with us. At the beginning of the movie Limitless, the protagonist, Eddie Mora, is portrayed as a poor writer in New York City whose life is disintegrating around him. First and foremost, he is financially in a very poor state, barely able to pay his rent. In addition, he is stuck in a debilitating writer's block, which has prevented him from completing his novel in months. As he tries to sit down and write, he feels like his mind is a complete blank, like there is a wall between him and his thoughts. His lack of progress in his writing has now begun to affect his life in all ways, most notably his relationship with his girlfriend Lindy, who has had enough of being with someone with no direction or ambition in life. In a confrontation at a cafe, Lindy finally tells him she wants to end the relationship, and Eddie is left stunned and heartbroken, having lost his career path and his future with his girlfriend in just a few short moments. As Eddie roams the streets, lost and hopeless, completely without direction, fate steps in the most unexpected way. Eddie meets up with Vernon, his former brother-in-law, a man he didn't even trust too well in the first place. There is something, however, about Vernon now, something a little too sharp, a little too sure of himself, a little too intimidating. There is a look in his eyes, a look Eddie can't quite define. Eddie, curious and seeking any form of distraction, agrees to have a drink with Vernon. The drink becomes a confessional as Eddie begins to talk about his failures, his inability to write, and his general feeling of going nowhere in life. He confesses, "I do my best, but my mind does not cooperate." Vernon leans in close to him and tells him something that sounds too good to be true. There is a small prozrachny pill that will unlock the full potential of his brain. He will be able to access every memory he has ever had, process information instantly, and function at a level that is far beyond the capabilities of normal human beings. While Eddie is doubtful at first, dismissing it as another scam artist's gimmick, when Vernon tells him how much it will cost him, he is suddenly offered the pill for free. There are no strings attached, Vernon tells him. While holding the pill in his hand, Eddie thinks to himself that it might be nothing at all, or it might be everything. His life is already in ruins. He has nothing left to lose. And in that one moment of desperation and curiosity, he takes the leap of faith and swallows the pill. The transformation begins. Almost instantly, a transformation occurs that is nothing short of miraculous. The fog that had previously enveloped his mind is gone, replaced by a clarity of thought that is more acute than ever before. His surroundings appear more vivid, his focus is razor sharp, and suddenly, every memory that he has ever stored is at his beck and call. It is as if his mind has been unlocked, functioning at a level that he never even knew existed. For the first time, he is not struggling to think. He is thinking more quickly, more deeply, more clearly than ever before. When his landlord's wife accuses him of not paying his rent, something which would normally cause him to be worried and defensive, Eddie responds in a completely different manner. Within seconds, he is able to read her expressions, understand her emotional state, and comprehend the pressure she is under being a law student. Instead of being defensive, he steps in to help her, organizing her notes in a clear, structured manner in less than an hour. The ease with which he is able to comprehend complex information in a short time leaves her stunned, and even he is amazed by what he is able to accomplish. It is in this moment that Eddie has a realization. For the first time in his life, he feels in control, confident, capable, and powerful. A new version of himself. Upon returning home, Eddie looks around his apartment and finally sees it for what it is. It is basically a mess that reflects his old, disorganized life. But now, with his newfound clarity and energy, he does not feel overwhelmed by it. Instead, he takes charge. He cleans every corner of his apartment, organizes everything with meticulous precision, and makes it into something entirely different. But it's not just his apartment that's different, it's his way of thinking. And when he finally sits down to write, something phenomenal occurs. The struggle is over. The words flow easily, the ideas come together in perfect harmony, and his thoughts come across in brilliant clarity. It's as if the story was in him all along, just waiting to come out when the right key was inserted. For hours on end, he writes with genius and authority, creating something far greater than anything he ever thought possible. However, the next morning, reality comes back to slap him in the face. The sharpness is gone. The clarity is gone. The confidence is gone. He is once again the same uncertain man. It's as if nothing ever happened to him. Well, except one thing, the pages he wrote. And when his editor reads what he's written and is impressed by it, Eddie is faced with a harsh reality. The best version of him, the version that's capable of greatness, is only capable when he's on that pill. With his overwhelming need to again experience that extraordinary clarity of mind driving him forward, Eddie rushes back to Vernon in the hopes of obtaining more of the mysterious drug. What he finds instead is chaos. Vernon is beaten nearly to death, hanging on for his life, and the confident man that Eddie had met earlier is now terrified. In a strained voice, Vernon finally tells him the truth, that the pill, named NZT, is not only illegal, but also far more dangerous than Eddie had ever dreamed. Before Eddie can fully comprehend what is going on, he steps out for a moment and then rushes back to find that Vernon is dead and that his apartment has been completely ransacked. It becomes apparent right away, however, that there is someone else in on the NZT secret, and he will do whatever it takes to get his hands on it. Panic mode ensues, but Eddie's instincts come into play just in time. Eddie thinks on his feet and searches the apartment himself, finding a hidden cache of the pills and a great deal of money. Realizing the trouble he is in, he quickly hides it away just as the police arrive, going to great lengths to cover up his involvement in the crime. In this moment, Eddie has crossed a line. What began as a means of fixing his life has now led him down a dark road of crime, secrecy, and living on the edge. This is not about succeeding anymore, it's about living. With his steady supply of NZT in hand, Eddie's transformation happens at an unbelievable rate. What was once impossible for him to achieve becomes effortless. He completes his long overdue novel in merely 4 days, with precision and brilliance that his editor cannot believe. But his success in writing is only the beginning. Eddie soon turns his attention to the stock market, where his enhanced mind enables him to analyze data, forecast trends, and make near-perfect investment decisions. With his initial investment, Eddie soon multiplies his returns, converting his hundreds into thousands, and then into millions in an incredibly short period. His self-confidence increases in proportion to his wealth. He can learn new languages in an overnight process, master complex skills in a matter of mere days, and possesses a charismatic personality that draws people to him. Every interaction with others is strategic and calculated, with his actions always seemingly at the most opportune moments. Eddie is no longer the struggling and invisible man he used to be. Instead, he is now the best version of himself, sharp, successful, and unstoppable. And as his name becomes more prominent, it is not long before influential and powerful individuals take notice of his meteoric rise to fame. Eddie's meteoric rise is soon noticed by Carl Van Loon, a powerful and influential financier in the world, known to spot raw talent. Carl Van Loon is interested in knowing how Eddie has achieved so much in the world of finance in a short time, and wants to personally meet him to find out. During his meeting with Eddie, he witnesses the incredible talent he has, which allows him to easily analyze complex financial situations, spot potential risks, and foresee outcomes with incredible accuracy. While he is impressed by the incredible talent he is seeing, he is a little wary of the person in front of him. But instead of dismissing him, he realizes the potential he has to help him in his dealings in the world of finance. At the same time, Eddie is reunited with Lindy, who is completely unaware of the transformation that has occurred within him. The lost soul that she had previously known is now confident, sophisticated, and unmistakably charismatic. He is magnetic to be around, and his success is evident in everything that he does. Lindy is again attracted to Eddie, and the couple re-enters into a relationship, bringing a sense of emotional fulfillment to Eddie's ever-changing life. Nevertheless, as Eddie continues to rely on NZT, the negative side effects of this drug start to emerge. The miracle that NZT has been to Eddie now shows its negative side. Eddie finds himself suffering from blackouts. A blackout is a time gap that occurs because of using NZT. Eddie finds himself waking up at places he does not know. He is confused, not knowing what happened to him. The time gaps are getting bigger and bigger, and Eddie finds himself wondering what he could have done to this person. This situation turns into a nightmare as Eddie finds out that a person he had been with during this time has been murdered. As a result, Eddie finds himself a person of interest, not knowing what he could have done to this person. Panic sets in as he realizes that he has no control over what he does when he is on NZT. However, as he continues to dig deeper into the matter, a horrifying truth begins to reveal itself to him. The other users of NZT are either dead or suffering from severe side effects. The drug that was giving him an enhanced mind is slowly destroying his mind. It is not only giving him an enhanced mind, but destroying it in the process. As the situation with Eddie continues to deteriorate, he starts to get the feeling that he is not alone. He feels like he is being watched. The unknown individual is always behind him, making him even more paranoid. At this point, he is being squeezed from all sides. The loan shark is now after him, demanding to be paid, while at the same time showing a lot of interest in the NZT supply, making his debt an obsession. The authorities are now after him too. The police have started to suspect Eddie of being involved in suspicious activities, making him a subject of scrutiny. The fact that he is being pursued by the authorities and the loan shark creates a sense of danger, where he is unable to trust anyone. Meanwhile, the very drug that once made him unbeatable is now taking a heavy toll on his system. Severe headaches, nausea, and confusion become his constant companions. His physical and mental stability starts to crack, showing the devastating effects of his dependence on NZT. What was once power has now become his weakness, putting him in a precarious position wherein he is pursued from the outside and destroyed from the inside. In her moment of extreme danger, Lindy is compelled to ingest NZT in order to save her life. The moment she does, her mind is instantly transformed. She is able to sense, think, and perceive everything around her with hypervigilance. She is able to assimilate information with ease, and in a split second, she is able to assimilate her environment with a level of intelligence she has never known before. In this manner, Lindy is able to quickly think her way out of her predicament by outsmarting her attacker. However, the experience comes with a deeper realization. With the effects of NZT taking hold in her system, Lindy realizes exactly what Eddie has been going through. She realizes how powerful the drug makes a person feel. She realizes that it allows the person to tap into abilities far beyond those of any normal human being. She also realizes the danger that the drug presents. She realizes how easily it can control a person, how addictive it is, and how quickly it causes a person to lose any sense of clarity. In this moment, Lindy does not only become intelligent, she also becomes aware. She realizes the potential that the drug presents and the devastating cost that potential may exact on a person. At last, Eddie runs out of NZT, and everything changes in an instant. The clarity, confidence, and intelligence that defined him begin to disappear, leaving him open, vulnerable, and at the mercy of his circumstances. He has no choice but to face the reality of who he was before, uncertain, insecure, and powerless. The change is drastic, from a man who was unstoppable to a man who has seemingly lost everything that made him capable of surviving in a world that has become his prison. With no way out of the world of enemies that has surrounded him, Eddie has no choice but to face the threats that are now closing in on him. He has been pushed to his absolute breaking point, and the weight of his circumstances has become more than he can handle. He considers taking his life as a means of escape from the world of chaos and fear that has become his reality. However, just when all hope is lost, something unexpected happens. In his last moment of desperation, Eddie finds a hidden pill, which is his last remaining dose of NZT. The pill is not just any pill, it is his last chance, his opportunity, his chance to take back control. As he holds the pill in his hand, his life changes again, and there is just one decision to be made between defeat and one last chance to rise. In a dramatic and climactic face-off, Eddie finally confronts the loan shark who has been relentlessly pursuing him. However, in this case, Eddie is not only reacting to his adversary, he is also planning several steps ahead. He uses every bit of his intellect, calculation, and strategy to manipulate the situation to his advantage. And in a dramatic and unexpected turn of events, Eddie takes a bold step that is fraught with danger. He does not simply take NZT in the regular fashion. Instead, he finds a way to inject the drug into his system to instantly regain its benefits. And instantly, his mind clears, his senses heighten, and his confidence is fully restored. He is again functioning at a level that is far beyond human capabilities. With his abilities fully restored, Eddie is now able to completely outmaneuver his opponent. What was previously seen as an unstoppable threat is now under his control. This is a defining moment for Eddie. He is no longer the man who needs NZT to function. He is now the man who understands how to utilize it. In doing so, Eddie demonstrates that he is no longer the man he once was. He is something much more dangerous and much more controlled. 1 year later, Eddie is no longer the struggling writer that he once was. Instead, he has become a powerful and influential man who confidently steps into the political arena to run for Senate. His transformation has been nothing short of extraordinary. Not only is he wealthy and influential, but he is also feared by those who realize the true extent of his power. Every move that he makes is calculated and deliberate, indicative of a man who has finally mastered both himself and the world in which he lives. Yet despite his new position in society, his past is one that is difficult to forget. Carl Van Loon, a man who once held a position of power over him, attempts to reassert his power by using his supply of NZT. He believes that by having control over the drug, he also has control over Eddie. However, this time around, things are very different indeed. Eddie, with a calm demeanor, turns to face Van Loon and lets him in on a shocking truth. He no longer needs NZT. He has finally reached a state of mind that allows him to fully understand the effects of NZT, using its power without being a slave to it. He has learned to remove its weaknesses, going beyond its limitations. In doing so, he has won something far greater than intelligence or wealth. He has won complete control over his destiny. No longer a pawn in someone else's game, Eddie has finally reached a position of power, fully in control of his life and future. Eddie moves away from those who had power over him in the past. He leaves behind a world that had previously overlooked him, dismissed him, and counted him out. The same world that had previously looked upon him with disdain is now looking upon him with respect and even fear. The man who had previously struggled to write one page is now at a place where his decisions can affect the world in a much larger way. With every step that he takes, Eddie is a reflection of the change that he has undergone. He is no longer reacting to the world that is around him. He is making his own mark upon it. He is no longer filled with the uncertainty that had previously been a hallmark of his life. He is filled with confidence, control, and purpose. Eddie is at the center of his own destiny. He is no longer a victim of the circumstances that had been placed before him. He is the circumstances that define him. He is not just a man who had survived the limitations that had been placed upon him. He is the man who had learned to master those limitations. And that's how a broke, directionless writer became one of the most powerful minds in the world, all because of one pill. From a man who could barely write one page of a book, Eddie Mora became a man of power, intelligence, and control that few could ever dream of. His story is a powerful lesson of how life can change in an instant when opportunity meets danger. But at the end of it all, there is one question that we must ask ourselves, even with all the power, success, and intelligence that Eddie Mora possessed. Was he limitless? Or did he just learn how to survive within the limits that once held him back and nearly destroyed him? If you liked this story, be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful movie breakdowns like this one.